Sure. I'll talk it out.
Yeah, let's just have a conversation.
Track 3.
Better not be fucking Dave Matthews Band.
Okay. Those of you who don't want to be a part of this can leave now.
Derek, please listen to me.
But if you choose to stay, which it seems like you guys are choosing,
Derek, please.
you understand and agree to the following terms and conditions.
Derek!
1.
Derek, this is the virus
You
talking.
hereby waive your right
Derek, please.
to your own personal bodily integrity.
This is not you.
2.
I'm a license.
Per the state versus Neville Reed, my colleague and I will not be held criminally liable for any felony or misdemeanor that you may be a victim of, including, but not limited to, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, disorderly conduct, destruction of property, mayhem, and first-degree murder. And 3, terms and conditions may change or be updated whenever the fuck I want! Consider yourselves notified.
What up, everyone? DJ Anubis here with you on the Metal Time Radio podcast. Going to go through and give you my most anticipated rock and metal albums of 2024. 2023 was fantastic in terms of metal and rock music. If you have not seen me and Neko's Best of 2023, it is up on both the podcast on Podbean as well as the video here on the YouTube channel as well. I'm going to go through my metal list first, and then I'll get into some of the rock stuff later. And also, a lot of the records that I saw really are only kind of for the first half of 2024, because a lot of other stuff is like to be determined later, like with the album titles or artwork, whatever. There's a select few from my list that don't actually have any artwork that I could find because they probably haven't finalized everything or dates have moved or whatever. So I'll get in first to like 3 albums that I'm looking forward to that there's no real information yet on them other than the fact that they're expecting new records from these bands. The first one being Sweden's Ancient Wisdom, atmospheric black metal band. Been around since 93. I first discovered them, of course, from their debut for Snow Covered the Northland back in 96, and I felt like the band really was getting better and better as they gone on. Like they put out 4 other releases besides that one, but I really found out about them through the Call to Irons tribute to Iron Maiden, where they did, or I shouldn't say it's like one-man project. The guy's name, I believe, is Vargar, and if Neko would tell you, I love myself some one-man projects, especially when it comes to black metal, because a lot of them are very, very creative, very, very detailed and great. It makes you feel like you are dealing with a whole band. But this gentleman has put out a lot of classic, great stuff, but it was that cover of Power Slave that I have on that tribute record that was fantastic, and that sort of like kind of got the ball rolling in terms of the band Ancient Wisdom. So there is a record coming out this year called Master of the Stone. So that is one record that I am definitely looking forward to in terms of Ancient Wisdom stuff. Another one, which is even a surprise because King Diamond about 2019 released his Masquerade of Madness single, which is supposed to appear on the new record, The Institute, which we all thought was probably going to come in 19 or 20, but here we are in 2023 and we still don't have anything. 2024 now. So supposedly it's been confirmed that this record is coming out this year, but again, no real artwork for it yet and no real release date yet. So it's still listed out there. that come out, but just nothing there. I've been a King Diamond fan for a very, very long time. Of course, his work with Merciful Fate is also great. But as anyone knows, my favorite record is Them, which is the first real record that I heard from King Diamond. I just kind of snowballed there for me with that. And I don't know how much more that King's got in the tank in terms of putting stuff out. I'm not even sure if he's going to be able to tour because he's been dealing with back issues in his life, and he's getting older. And so I don't know if he's going to kind of go more like the Ozzy route and maybe just do more just studio stuff, which is fine if you can still pull it off. I don't mind that. Putting out studio stuff doesn't bother me, especially as you get older, but as long as the material's quality. So whenever King Diamond gets that out, I'll be looking forward to it for sure. And then the other one that I don't have much more information on right now is Disbelief from Germany. And they've been around since the early 90s as well. Don't have a lot of stuff from them, but they play like a mixture of death, thrash, and sludge metal. So they have a new record called Killing Karma coming out this year, and don't have a release date on that yet, but apparently that is what is coming out on their end for that. So those are three metal bands that I don't have much information on, but I am looking forward to their music. Now, as far as bands that do have some release artwork, and I didn't write down the release dates, but we're talking like again from now to the middle of May. So it's like the first half of the year, 2024. A lot of these records are coming out. So again, this band first discovered them around 2001 for their Monument of Death record debut. Blood Red Throne, fucking fantastic death metal from Norway. They've been very consistent with their sound, with their music, and their new album in 2024, Nonagon, is going to be released, and so I'm really, really looking forward to it. I do love this artwork a lot. That's really cool. So, and even Neko, with some of the stuff that I played more recently, like Imperial Congregation or Fit to Kill, like she's been hearing some tracks from those in the past, and she gets really excited when she hears them. So she's always kind of like, yeah, I was in the car while you were inside the store and I heard this band was fucking great. And I said, yeah, Blood Red Throne. There you go. And so next band up here, coming out, of course, is Morbid Saint, thrash metal from the United States. They are always known, of course, for their classic release, Spectrum of Death, which I recently, within the last couple of years, got on a cassette, so I was really excited. Because I had not really listened to the band way back when. Like I knew of the name, I just never listened to them. But as time has gone on, the past decade or so, I've been getting more and more into the older school metal and stuff that I may have missed growing up. And this is one of those bands and records that it just kind of passed me by. And when I listened to it, I was like, this is good. And then, of course, they made an appearance at Maryland Death Fest one year, which is fun. They did release a record in 2015, Destruction System, which was their sophomore release, and still pretty strong. But they now have Swallowed by Hell coming out this year. And looking forward to that. I'm glad that they're starting to put stuff out again. Yeah, granted, it's very spaced out. I mean, the first one was 1990, 2015, and now we're almost another decade later, and they're releasing another record. But if it's in their case, it's about quantity or quality over quantity. So that's a good thing too on our end. So very good thrash metal if you were into them. Now, finally, I also want to say I may end up having Crypt from Metal Mania join me. I'm not sure. He is kind of busy doing his thing with his son because his son's birthday is today. So happy birthday to his son. So I don't know if he'll be able to stop in or not and chat. I don't know how long I'll be on doing this, but either way, certainly if he stops in, we'll let him chill out and talk a little bit about what he might be looking forward to this year. But now for the next record that in the metal genre is Farsot, the black metal band from Germany. And I probably first took notice of this band around 2011 during the album Insects, and I really, really enjoyed that record a lot. They still put out another release in 2017, so they kind of space out their records too. It is a band, not one man project. Got to always double check because sometimes I don't always know like whether or not they're independently done by one person or not. So, uh, but very cool band. As far as like black metal, I've kind of weaned off some of the more traditional stuff, but they're one of these bands that I still kind of listen to on the regular in that genre. So they have a new release coming out this year called Life Promised Death, and this will be the artwork for that, which is pretty fucking wicked. They are a very cool band for sure. If you're into black metal and stuff like that, so that's another release that I'm definitely looking forward to. The next one is also a band. Let me pull up something real quick. Sorry, guys. I was thought I'd be more prepared than this, but apparently not. Now, this band definitely been around since the '90s. They kind of gone from sort of like black metal, well, not total black metal, but folk Viking black metal to progressive. They've been dabbling in different things over the years, and that's Borniger. I believe initially this was like a super group, I think. I don't remember though, but it did feature ICS Vortex, who, for if you know, he was in Demi Borgir for a while. And I do love like the Olden Domain, Archaic Course, and then which one was it? Universal? I don't remember. They put out some records that I kind of got into. Winter Thrice was cool, but they do have a new one coming out. I didn't know there's a single out there. I haven't sat and listened to it yet because I kind of. What happens is if I start listening to something that's just a single, then all of a sudden I want more, and I'm like, why I gotta wait? And I know it's not going to be out anytime soon. Again, a lot of these releases will be the first 6 months of the year, so they may change too if they push stuff back. But the album's going to be called Fall, and I'm really excited to hear it. Eventually, I may cave and go check out the single anyway, just because I am itching for some new Borniger material. But yeah, I've really enjoyed them over the years, and it's cool that they're still putting stuff out. The last one was 2019 with True North, which also was pretty decent. Like there was kind of in between when they did Empiricism, Epic, and Origin that it was kind of like 7 out of 10 type albums, but now they're cranking out more 9 out of 10 type stuff. So I'm expecting good things from Fall when it comes out. Now the next band is actually based off more of an artist. If you are familiar with the band Emperor, the lead singer Izon, initially after Emperor broke up, he went and did his own thing. He had some other projects with his wife for a while, and then he also did his own band called Izon, which is solo. And it started out doing more of kind of like he was doing a little bit extreme, then he did progressive stuff, and then now he's doing some even post rock stuff, which is kind of cool. It's hard to believe how much he's done since 2006 with this project, but a lot of records, and there's a lot of quality records in there. Now, some people seem like, judging by Metal Archives, kind of don't totally like some of the rockier stuff, but I enjoy that because I do enjoy like a lot of post rock stuff, that's out there. And so I always criticize. I'm like, he's a good artist and very creative. And anyway, he's got a self-titled album coming out this year, just called Eyes On. And I don't know how it's going to be. I don't know what's all planned for it. I haven't read much up on it, but I am looking forward to it. He's a very good artist. And I know the Emperor still kind of does like appearances at festivals, so he's doing kind of both them. I wish I could get Emperor here at MDF. That would be fucking amazing, but just hasn't happened. And probably cost has something to do with it. But as far as his solo project, Eyes On is very fun and a lot of good stuff in there. The next one, you might be a little bit controversial, is just because obviously the singer who is in charge of this project got into some legal trouble by putting a hit out on his ex-wife. That's Tim Labesis from As I Lay Dying. But the project that I really like from it is Austrian Death Machine, which is basically a band that's a little bit of thrash and metalcore, but it's all in what I guess you would say is like a mock of Arnold Schwarzenegger, so he uses a lot of the voice. And it's actually him. I used to think it was just somebody doing the voice for him, but Tim does this himself very well. And the band itself has gotten better and better with the material now. I loved Triple Brutal, which came out in 2014. I thought that was an excellent record. The other ones had some good songs on it, but Triple Double to me, Triple Brutal to me had like more quality songs on it, and it was really well done. So Quad Brutal is coming out this year. And so I don't know what to expect out of this. I hope it's a lot of fun like he's been doing with this project. But I know that because of his off the record issues legally, that people will kind of shy away from it because they don't support that, which I don't either. I mean, personally, dude, you don't put out a hit on your wife, but he served his time, and for that, now he's out doing his thing. So yeah, so hopefully he's a better man for it. You know what I mean? The next record up that I'm looking forward to is, of course, Invincible Shield by Judas Priest. And, they've been around forever. No, this band is like no secret to any metal fan or rock fan. They cross boundaries all the time, whether it's, Painkiller back to Turbo to, Screaming for Vengeance, and even back to their 70s stuff, which was more rock oriented, bluesy. So I said it back then. I can't believe that it's already been 2018 was when Firepower came out, but I said it then when Firepower got released that was the best record they'd put out since Painkiller, and I still stand by that. So now it's kind of funny because Invisible Shield to me is going to have to like really step up the ante to compare to both Firepower and Painkiller. Like, can they outdo themselves yet again? Because I thought Firepower was just so fucking amazing. And so I'm really looking forward to Invisible Shield. If you haven't checked it out, though, this past year, KK's Priest released a new record. It's fucking great. Like, it really is. And Ripper Owens is top form on that record, dude. No matter how you feel about his time in Priest, which I'm not a big fan of his work in Priest. I know some people dig it. I didn't think he really meshed at the time with the band as far as chemistry is concerned, but some people overlook some of that and they liked it. But I like some of Ripper Owens' other vocals with like either Iced Earth or his own band that he did and stuff like that. So he's always had like his guest appearances and whatnot. So KK's Priest has turned out really well with his vocals. So if you've not checked out that record, it's really fucking good. Next up is Merrimack out of France, a black metal band, late 90s band. I actually discovered them through a friend of mine on a forum years ago. I think it was for the Ashes of Purification record, which was their debut in 2002. And I really dug them. I kind of followed them. I mean, they're not a band I listen to on the norm, but they're one, again, like kind of like Farsot. They're one of those black metal bands I kind of stick with. Like, even though I've kind of gotten burnt out on black metal, like traditional black metal, they're still one of these bands that I kind of just keep following because I do enjoy their music a lot. And so they have a new record coming out this year calling Of Grace and Gravity. And so, yeah, if black metal is your thing, man, like if you want high quality black metal, this band's something to check out. Definitely looking forward to it. I don't know about anybody else. Like, I know people are going to have certain records they're looking forward to. There was a bunch of records from bands that were listed. Like, I think Saxon listed Dragon Force, Dream Theater. These are records I'll probably check out, but they're not records I can sit there and say, just dying to hear, like I'm not the biggest fan so much of those bands. So I kind of stuck with like records that I really, really feel comfortable with in terms of like the bands themselves that I'm looking forward to. The next one, definitely huge fan of this band. Like, as far as like your more modern day death metal bands, Skeletal Remains out of California, USA is fantastic. Like, I just love them. I've seen them a few times now. MDF, I've seen them like just passing through. my black vest, I have the battle vest. I have like their big ass patch on the back. Just I really, really dig this band a lot. Just saw them not too long ago again. And so they've got a new record coming out this year, which I'm excited for because I've loved the last two or three that I've listened to. Fragments of the Ageless. If you're a Skeletal Remains fan, love death metal, these guys are fucking killer. So fucking good. Great live. Really heavy. Neko, like I said, Neko and I just saw them playing with Suffocation. Just so fucking good, man. Like I can't get enough of them. Next up is Necrophobic. They've got a new release coming out here this year, In the Twilight Gray. I've been following this project for a little while too. Again, I'll probably argue that I'm not necessarily like the biggest fan, but the one thing about Necrophobic I do like is they're very consistent with their records. So I've never really been disappointed in a record, but I'm not really blown away by a record per se. But they're very consistent, so I enjoy the material they put out, dating all the way back to Dark Side. I remember looking through a metal magazine at the time, and they were promoting Dark Side as this like most evil, blasphemous, black record, black metal record. And I'm like, I'm gonna go give this a try. And sure enough, Dark Side is fucking amazing. And it's just crazy. Like these guys, like they do. If you've never heard their Black Mark tribute to Autopsy when they do Ridden with Disease, check it out, dude, because I think it's actually better than the original. It's that good. Like they've managed to pump up the sound a little bit because if you ever listen to Autopsy, their version, the production is kind of like low quality, so it's like it doesn't come out fuller, if that makes any sense. But when Necrophobic does it, man, it's full, like it's just heavy as fuck. And so I just really dig that cover, and the other music they have is just fantastic. So again, very consistent band, put out solid records. I think the last one was 2018 with Mark of the Necrogram. So as I said, right now they've got In the Twilight Gray coming out this year. So our next band, this is an EP that's coming out. Now I don't listen to much folk or power metal that much. It's not like the biggest genres that I listen to, but there's like a handful of bands that I kind of stick with. And I don't always like everything they put out, but one thing, there's a song called "Fucked with an Anchor" by Ailstorm that they do, and it's the most hilarious song ever. And that's sort of what these guys do. They're kind of like about pirates and drinking and adventure and stuff like this. So it's basically like pirate metal, I call it. But they have a new EP coming out this year, Voyage of the Dead Marauder. So I'll be checking that out just to, because these guys are a lot of fun. They come out and they just have fun with their music, and it's something I can enjoy on the fly if I really feel like it. Just fun stuff to me, like really in that vein. If you like that kind of stuff. Let's see. This is another band that really is kind of new to me over the last, 2 to 5 years. Really is a band, progressive metal band, or progressive power metal band, excuse me, called Witherfall. And at the time, I thought maybe it might be an all-star band too, but I'm not really sure. They do feature a guitarist who I'll be talking a little later, was part of another project for the rock group that I have that I'll be talking about. But their new album will be coming out this year, Sounds of the Forgotten, and they're very fucking good, man. Like really, when it comes to that style of music, I'm very, very selective when it comes to this style, like with power metal and stuff like that. So if you can impress me on that level with that style of music, then you're already winning me over. So a lot of times when it comes to power metal, I'm more like Blind Guardian or Halloween or like Primal Fear, but there's so many other power metal bands that I just can't get into because usually it's the vocals that I lose it on me if they're not very good. And it's a tough genre for people to do. So like I have to give credit to where credit's due when they can actually pull it off. So yeah, Sounds of the Forgotten by Witherfall will be coming out soon. And then the last one I have for the metal category, again, it's going to be very controversial just because The main guy, Dagon, he was in legal trouble for essentially child porn or something. I don't really know exactly how that all played out. I don't think he was ever arrested or anything for any of that. But Inquisition, the band, the project that he has, is actually fucking pretty good. It took me, like, a friend of mine used to tell me about them all the time and say you should listen to Inquisition. And I said, yeah, I checked them out. It just wasn't my thing. And of course, they started out more as thrash and became a little more into black metal later. And it wasn't until Black Mass for a Mass Grave in 2020 that I sat there and said, this album's incredible. Like, it's hard for me. Like, I can't sit there and say that Dagon's a good dude. I won't do that. But if I'm talking from a music perspective, like, that record is fucking amazing. So obviously now with the new record in 2024 with Veneration of Medieval Mysticism and Cosmological Violence, long title there, which is always accustomed to. I'm actually pretty excited for this record based on what I heard from the last one. So as far as the metal releases, those are all the ones that I really, really want. And I'm excited to hear those. Now, into the rock stuff. The one record I couldn't find any information on was for Cobra Page. Now, if you're not familiar with her, she's actually the singer of Cobra and the Lotus. And so they're more mainstream rock metal band, and like she's got amazing pipes. And like the last few records they put out, I don't even know if I can pull it up in here or not. Let me see. Oh yeah, so they do have it included here. They basically put them as a heavy metal band, which is fine because it is along that lines. Now, early stuff from Cobra and the Lotus, I kind of felt like they weren't really meshing with the chemistry between their vocals and the music. But when I went back to listen to like Prevail 1 and 2 and also Evolution, it all seems to click now. They all seem the writing's stronger, the music's more fluent with, and it just all matches. Like it's working. It's really, really good stuff. Prevail 1 and 2 is amazing records, like really great. So if you haven't checked them out, she's got something called a solo album, I guess, because it's Cobra Page, and she's calling it Like No Other. And so I'm curious how that's going to play out in terms of sound. Is it going to be too much like Cobra and the Lotus, or is it going to be completely different? I don't know, but looking forward to that on that end. Now, they only have like about 5 albums in the rock genre that I want to talk about that I'm looking forward to. There's a band out of Sweden called Crazy Licks that I've heard like a couple of years ago, and they're like a throwback to 80s glam hard rock. And they're a lot of fun. Anytime that you can take a band and basically have like this nostalgic feel about the past. With me, like growing up in the 80s, I was a hard rock glam guy until about the late 80s when I started getting into thrash and death metal, the heavier stuff as time went on. I've always been like a progression of terms of how I got into music. So obviously I was born in 70. So around 75, like my earliest memories was listening to the radio at night, and I enjoyed like Zeppelin, Blue Oyster Cult, Gary Wright, the Eagles, the stuff like that. So Styx. So I grew up on a lot of the classic rock stuff. Then of course the 80s came and I got into those kind of bands, and then it just got heavier and heavier. And of course by late 90s I was into black metal. So I just always progressed. And but whenever a band comes out, like I've talked to Nick all the time about some of these bands that come out and how their sound is modern, but they're also incorporating some old vibes from like either classic rock era or the hard rock era. And classic Crazy Licks is exactly like that. So they're a cool band to check out if you're into the like hair hard rock stuff. And so Two Shots at Glory is a new record coming out this year, so we'll definitely be checking that out. The next one up, this is kind of an interesting band because it pops up a lot of times in the rock and hard rock category for people. And granted, I have not really heard anything from this band since like the late 80s to early 90s. because I only remember the first two records, the self-titled and then the one that had the sophomore one. But I'm pretty sure they've had other records in between that from till now. I have to go back and research that. But in this year, Honeymoon Suite will release Alive. Now, if you're wondering, like, if you ever heard that name before, you probably have, because in the 80s, their two biggest hits and was New Girl Now off the self-titled, and then Feel It Again off the sophomore release. And both of those are like big radio hits. But I always kind of saw them more as like a pop rock artists rather than hard rock or anything. But one thing I did notice about like the first record was they did have the knack of kind of feeling like a hard rock band. Like if you listen to the rest of the record, it's a little bit harder than the stuff that got released on radio. So the possibility for them to be a little bit heavier was always there. So now that this record's coming out, I'm going to have to go back, see if I can find some of their other material and listen through it and just see how they've progressed over the years, because I haven't heard them in forever. But I am a fan of their earlier work, so there's chances are I'll probably enjoy this. Now here's another artist who, again, this artist is paying homage to the classic rock era, who I've only discovered about 3 or 4 years ago, and that's Steve Hackett. And this new record, The Circus and the Night Whale, coming out this year, he's got some cool shit, dude. Like really cool stuff. I can't really explain how it is. You just got to kind of search it on your own. YouTube has a bunch of material, but some of it's almost ambient like, but it's got this classic rock vibe. And so I really, really enjoy that about him and his work. So I'm so looking forward to this record a lot because yeah, I can't really explain it. You just have to kind of hear it and feel it, and then you know what I'm talking about. The next record I'm looking forward to. This artist was actually introduced me to a friend of mine, Jason Griffith. So if you remember a few years ago, when we were doing podcasts more often, I had a friend doing a podcast that we would share on Podbean, whose name was Rez. And his real name is Jason Griffith. Cool dude, good friend, love him to death. He introduced me to Chelsea Wolfe, and her last record was amazing. Like it really kind of opened my eyes a little bit more to, because I was already starting to get into a lot of the post rock, later Deftones stuff. Like I had followed Deftones for a while, but I enjoy their later stuff far more than the earlier stuff because I think it's more original and just much better and stronger musically. So whenever you get someone like Chelsea Wolfe who's kind of doing a similar vibe thing, because he listens to a lot of different stuff. Like he likes an artist named Goss, who also, from what I looked on the list, has something coming out this year as well. So he is always kind of listening to these like really kind of weirdish artists. So whenever he promotes something, I'm like, oh, I gotta raise my eyebrows and go check this out because it could be something I really like. And of course, Chelsea Wolfe is one of those. So in 2012 or 2024, Chelsea Wolfe is going to release She Reaches Out to She. And I can't wait for this. Like she is so awesome. The best way I can describe her is almost like an industrial drone version of Mazzy Star. So if you ever grew up in the 90s or even just listened to like the alternative stuff of the 90s and know who Mazzy Star is, it's kind of like that. It's just a little bit darker and heavier. There's another artist, female artist named Iris, who does similar stuff to this, which is really great. So highly recommend Iris as well. And then finally, just because I am a big hard rock fan, I grew up with bands like Rat, Van Halen, Def Leppard, Motley Crue, etc. If you don't know about Motley Crue's touring again, but they don't have their original guitarist, Mick Mars. Now that falling out is kind of ridiculous. I kind of feel like they did Mick dirty, but I've heard varying stories about who's at fault with that. But Mick is going to be releasing his own album this year called The Other Side of Mars. And so I'll be curious to hear how that is. Like, I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. I don't know what direction he's going to go with this record, if it's going to be more like the old school hard rock stuff or not. As far as like Motley Crue is concerned, I don't really necessarily like a lot of their later stuff. They have a couple good songs here and there. but my obviously their albums all the way up to Dr. Feelgood are their best times for me. Like that's really the best blockage, and even then, I spend more time listening to Too Fast for Love or Shout at the Devil more than anything else in their catalog. So that's kind of where like I'm grounded in terms of like their stuff. But yeah, man, I mean that's basically it. I know didn't spend a lot of time on this or playing the music, but I didn't want to worry about any copyright issues from past music or whatever. So please, if you check it out, let me know what you guys are looking forward to this year, or if you're excited about some of these records as well. Tomorrow, I will be doing Cinematic Synergy with Kevin Lemmer from The Entertainment Headquarters. We're going to review The Eighth Night off of Netflix. So be looking for that. And then Thursday, I'm going to be doing a new When I Raid Alone. I'll be talking about a couple new games I've been playing. Not new in terms of release, but just new to me. I'll also be talking a little about some more of the whining from these gamer streamers regarding Diablo 4 because, shit's just getting old at this point. It's like, dude, you're just regurgitating bullshit at this point. Don't play the game if you don't like it. So I'll be talking more about that, just kind of putting them on blast. Again, please support the channel, hit the like button or subscribe if you enjoy the content. Love your metal, love your rock, and we love you all for the support you get Metal Tavern Radio. So again, many thanks to the support, and we'll see you here next time on the Metal Tavern Radio podcast.